Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. How are we all doing? I hope we're doing well. Doing this a little bit earlier because I've got to do the ratings tomorrow and all the other fun stuff. So wanted to get this out of the way. I've calmed down. I've temporarily fixed the camera. If you're new around here, hit that like button, hit the subscribe. It really does help me out. We've got a lot to talk about and a lot to discuss. So let's, without any further diddly-do, get into it. We're here to discuss Carlton's 74-point loss to Hawthorn round 22, Sunday the 11th of August. A bit of alliteration, which is always good. And that was as bad a day as you probably could expect from the Blood Boys. It has to be said. It was poor, it was laconic, it was slow, it was stodgy, it was safe, it was laborious at times, which is a new word for this channel. And, you know, pre-game, standing on the shoulders of giants. I don't know if they fucking fell from that height, but this was really, really, really tough. Really tough. The work rate, the sense of urgency, the almost early doors, you saw it as well from them. It was that first centre clearance when I watched the watch-along and I watched the game back, you really did see it as well. The Carlton were really aggressive, deploying as many numbers ahead of the ball as they could in that centre clearance. They went out the back and kicked a goal. And it's not the level, it's not the standard. And I know that Vossi at the moment is in a big fucking chapter book at the moment. But let's be honest, this is elite level sport. The disconnect between players at the moment is astounding. And I think it started really in my heart of hearts seeing this. I reckon the first Geelong game, I reckon you've seen it in patches, because you really did see a shift there from a team ethos to hoping that one or two players pull you out of the hole. And how deep we sit back, the lack of movement, the lack of... Since that rule change, people always say with the holding the ball rule that that's affected Carlton. Look at how the team spread quickly. Like, you saw Hawthorn there look to hunt, look to travel in packs, and they create overloads in all the pockets of space, all them options. That's real simple football when every side's doing it. And, you know, I've watched a lot of football this weekend. And last weekend I watched every game, and this weekend I've watched every game bar the last two, so I can't really comment on them because I'll be honest, after the Carlton game, Richmond, St Kilda and the Doggies versus Adelaide, I'd probably rather fucking relive any dark moment I've had, and I've got quite a few. It really showcased what is going on at the football club, is that we're probably the only side that plays like a reactive brand. It's almost like Sam Allardyce. We sit back and we soak up the pressure and we hope for a lucky goal. And you saw how Hawthorn manipulated that. They looked to create 2 or 3 on 2, 3 on 2s everywhere with overloads, particularly in the final third, which got players like Brodie Kemp totally lost. Like, at times I didn't know if Brodie Kemp was part of the fucking Blues Brothers behind the goal. And I love Brodie. I'm not picking on him. He's my boy and I love him to pieces. But at times he was like, oh, fuck. Do I come for the ball? Do I stay? And by the time he'd made that decision, Cole Shadia and Cob had just gone mental. There was a time there where even Pom Cotter in the third quarter, if you watch him, he runs to the forward line, then runs to the back line. It's almost like he didn't know where he was going. So then that begs the question, what was said to him before he went out? Someone's obviously said he forward, then someone's changed their mind back. And he just seems so higgledy-piggledy. Even Vossi's presser. It's like a smorgasbord of fucking words. You know what? There's this candy shop, right? Candy fucking museum thing I take my kids to, right? And you give them a bowl and say, oh, do you want to go and pick some candies, right? Now, maybe I've got something wrong with me, but I like to layer them because I don't like chocolate underneath things. My kids just chuck shit in. That's like a word candy box that fucking Voss does. Just chucks words in and hopes to make it. And there has to be a method and a brand and an identity. And I look at teams right now who I've admired at the start of the season. So Hawthorn, no surprise to me, they're good at the moment because I've been hot on Sam Mitchell. But you know what their identity is. You know what their brand is. You know what they stand for. Everything he says that they stand for, you see every fucking game. Even his first game to now, you see his game. Kingsley at GWS, you see the brand. Ours changes more than fucking Kim Kardashian's fiance in the fucking tens. Do you know what I mean? It seems to be like a new one every fucking week. And it is crazy. I'm so glad Carlton don't write breakup songs, because fuck me, there would be an anthology like the Bible. And it's crazy how we just can't stick to a methodology. And even Collingwood, they've been garbage this year. They have a methodology. Like, I turn on and I watch Collingwood and I go, okay, right? And I think a good football club, right, is like American Murder Story or whatever it is, Horror Story. You know, it's the same fucking story, but they've changed the error. Carlton is like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, our tactics. Sometimes you think this guy's the killer, but before you know it, you're fucking wrong and you were the killer and you've just got blood on your hands. It's crazy. And then I think even the messaging from the club, stronger together, then it's standing on the shoulders of the giants, and then God knows what it is. It might be they might be giants. I'm just half expecting Voss one day. He reminds me of David Brent at the moment. He's going to bring the guitar, and then you're going to see Cripper just go like this. He did go back and get the guitar. And Voss is just going to start going, free love on the free love freeway. And you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it is crazy at the minute. And it's a real bad place where we're in. There's got to be some kind of leadership on and off the field. And at the moment, the boys look lost. And there is 2 games to go. They were second 6 weeks ago. Like, they are Tom Petty at the moment. They are free falling. And the lack of accountability, and even with the injuries, I'd love to say the 5 injuries today made a difference. But even before the first injury, these boys looked about a yard of pace. And they're starting to make it easy. Like, you know when people say they were jogging, they weren't actually jogging. They were so far away because they were anticipating where the ball's going. Where Voss's whole premise, you play 4 quarters, then you might beat us, was at the fall of the ball, bang, we're there. We're like a big, marauding, advancing Trojan army. And at the moment, we're the French, probably during Agincourt. Do you know what I mean? It's that bad at the minute that we are retreating. And thank God the G is enclosed, because I think we would have been that deep. Would have been defending down the Yarra. It is really bad. You've only got to watch when the ball hits the deck. These boys look lost. It's like, do you want to go? There was that passage of play where Kaushadia snuck between 4 of our toes because they were all looking at each other going, are you going to go? Am I going to go? Yeah, mate, it's absolutely crazy, and we've got to look better. So let's get into the data, because I just want to caveat this. I only correlated the data because I have too much respect for the football club, for you, the fans, and for myself, of setting a standard that we started something, so we fucking finish it. Because unlike some, I have a process and I stick to it. So let's get into it before I lose my mind. And here you are. Look, it done made pretty reading. You can see here, stoppage scores 28-16. And this is another area of the Blues that is really, really just mind-boggling to me of how bad it is. Because the simple synopsis of the Blues and why we were so excited about having wingers was our intent to be first to the ball and then spread it. And at the moment, it seems to be the same thing. We're looking to see how many handballs we can get until we get pinged by 8 Hawthorn players. And if that was the tactic pre-game, it was absolutely executed to a T. And what you saw Hawthorn do was look to take that tactic, play with the new rules, which, you know what, amazingly, when we've been talking about risk all week, risk is what you need. Take the first contact, handball it off, and overload the area. And you know what, you can talk about pace, you can talk about movement of the ball, whatever you want. Cold hard facts are, if you run in numbers, you look mighty quick with the short, sharp handball and the ability to change angles. And their ability to change angles round stoppage was insane. Loads of sideways kicks, them diagonal kicks, causing havoc with the Blues. And they were shifting the zones, particularly them kick-ins as well, where we haven't got kick-ins on here. We'll talk about that in the defensive half. But that 3-5-2 zone we talked about on ratings, absolutely flabbergasting that the Blues forgot the 5 part of the 3-5-2 because they just switched it to the left-hand side and the right-hand side at will. and the Blues were expecting them to go down the same. But around stoppage, we talked about this in the pre-game, be really hard around stoppage, force Carlton to sit back. Operation 1 from Sam Mitchell, and then this turnover game. Insane. This. Carlton flooding the middle, which has been so successful. They got picked apart with that short kick, particularly from the back half of the ground, down the middle, and then the spread from there. And the Blues couldn't contain this, and it was almost like they were like, oh, hang about, no one goes down the wing, and then switches back. 72, which is plus 17 for Hawthorn, versus 20 points down by 29. This was woeful, and Carlton's ball movement is to blame, but Hawthorn's ability to make Carlton have only the short option and no one looked to run and carry, it has become a real pattern over 6 to 7 weeks. And I know Voss keeps trying to find positives. I can't find any positives here because this number is plummeting down, and this was like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're our only hope at one point. This is really poor, and this is all endeavour. And then when you look at the defensive half scores, 49 points playing 17, and then 49 points from forward half. We always say one of these stats has to be good to negate your stoppage. And Blues defence in the forward half of the ground, which allowed this turnover and this defence number. The fact CJ was out is probably even more damaging for the 72 points from turnover, because we were literally giving them turnover opportunities. It felt like, you know, when you watch NFL teams practice and they have dummies as the defence so they can work through patterns. I don't know if we haven't watched Hawthorn play, or I don't know what was going on, but the Blues' unwillingness to put anyone in the final third to try and slow the ball movement down was criminal. And the amount of space, the gaps between the lines was so strong. That forward half to midfield, then the midfield to the back half, like the defence in that second half almost lived in the defensive area, which is unlike Carlton, creating so much opportunities for spread. And then the centre bounce, I always say this is the one that I can't forgive. Carlton's makeup, regardless of injuries, is strong in this avenue. 14 to 6, plus 6 to down 7 for the Blues. This was one-way traffic, and this is intent and structure. These stats are heavily on Voss and heavily on players. The players for intent, but also the players, also the coaches. You've got to give them the best chance. And at times the Blues were sitting ducks, and we've got to stem this. And I don't know how you stem this, but for me, based on that stoppage department, Kennedy was sensational. He was one of the few that will hold his head up high this weekend. But this was as poor as it gets. Like, these are real prehistoric numbers for the Blues. And then you look at the battle around the ground, and we talked about whoever won the territory battle would win this game. We'll come to that, but look at the pressure acts. This is a telling thing at the moment, that pressure acts at the moment, you can't do it. You can't maintain it. When the pressure acts are the same time and the tackle numbers aren't up, you've got big issues. But the ability for teams to beat us when they have been down on their pressure acts is a real telling event. What this tells you is it's easy to beat us with structure. And we always say the safety in your structure and your system, when you change your system too much and your structure too much, the comfort blanket goes. And you look at these tackle numbers, 47 tackles to 62. Carlton's down by 14, and Hawthorn didn't even go to where they usually do. This is a concern, like a real concern, because the pressure acts are telling you that they are within the vicinity, but the pressure's being applied wrong. It's almost like second guess pressure. And then the tackles inside 50, 13 to 2. Voss, only 8 weeks ago, said that this was a highlight of our game. Our ability to put pressure on early and stagnate ball movement. And this has been coming down. Like, honestly, this is going down quicker. Like, quicker than anything we've seen. Like, this is a real concern. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but my belief is defence comes from here. It's your heart. It's like, you know, gentlemen have their word. for me, your word is your bond, and your defensive pressure, particularly your forward half pressure, is your bond. That's commitment. And the fact the Blues played nearly 2 quarters with small forwards in there exclusively, to have 2 tackles inside 50, I've not seen this much brown on a graph for a long time. And territory battle. Whoever wins this, we said, would win the game. Over 1,000 metres difference because of how they applied that pressure and them tackles inside 50. The Blues were just kicking to get rid of the ball. How many handballs do you see are panicked handballs into more trouble where you watch Hawthorn, no option, kick it into space, we'll chase it down? It's a real concern that for me for the Blues, and something the Blues have got to alleviate ASAP Rocky. This is a real concern because these pressure numbers, you know, the key performance indicators that Teague said, are way down. And then we look at this mark inside 50 rate, 14%, and it was bad when we had Charlie and Harry on the ground. The Blues have got a pattern at the moment. When they struggle to get it out the back half of the ground, you know a long bomb's coming in the forward line, which is all well and good. You see, people are starting to criticise the long bomb. It's always been there. Difference was the forward pressure was insane. It was kind of like Richmond, who had low marks inside 50 rates, but then used to just destroy teams on the deck. 14% down by 7 when it was already in a bad area is really bad. And you look at how wasteful the Blues are. Like, even the opportunities. I know Voss said last week, ignore the scoreboard, focus on the process. You've got the most important pressure is this second column, and down 18% from scores inside 50. A lot of these are just inside 50s because there's no options. No one runs with anyone anymore. You got a masterclass here in how to run with and put pressure on versus how just to stand there and hope someone does it for you. And the rebound 50 rate here, the Blues, this number's plummeting as well. It's so easy to lock us in now. And now it's almost getting to the stage of when you have an inside 50, it's a guaranteed goal. As shown by nearly half of the inside 50s were scores, and a quarter of them were goals. And it's how we give up that 45-metre arc, which the top teams do. But then everyone stops so they can dink a kick over the top to other people. Everyone's always moving. The Blues are almost like the film Mannequin. And we know that had a happy ending. This doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Do you remember that Mannequin film? That was a good movie, actually. Like, just quietly, what? That was 87, wasn't it? You know what I mean? But, Jesus, I don't see Kim Cattrall or fucking Andrew McCarthy knocking around, do you? Bad times. And then the incidentals. Intercept marks for the Blues. I'm surprised theirs isn't bigger, but no one was willing to peel off their man. Everyone playing off the last shoulder. This could have been an absolute monstrosity. And you can see here the Blues, 50% of one-on-ones run versus 30% lost. This is a problem here because the Blues aren't even creating them one-outs anymore as well. And we're actually playing off the shoulder as well. So we're creating more one-on-ones the way that we're not giving space to run in behind. And then when we do, we get caught in transition because everyone's static and trying to intercept. And the contested possessions, the only way here to slow a team down like this is make it contested possessions. And the fact they've absolutely destroyed us here in this contested possession, down by 30 because they were able to move everything around, is so smart. And we've gone from playing a very modern day football about what feels like 6-8 weeks ago. 6-8 weeks ago, we really did nail this. That we've gone back to this stagnant, slow process. And this contested possession for me really scares me because how loose opposition play around stoppage, which takes away their contested possessions quite a bit. They kind of just hover around there. And you look at the meters gained, it's almost the same, which really shows you that the ball movement patterns were almost the similar. The difference was how they changed the angle. Them diagonal kicks through the corridor causing havoc. And this is a real area for the Blues here because they've become real stuck in the mud. And really put it into bad situations. We've got to look at this because we're really struggling. So that's it then. And really what we've seen here is we've seen that we're back to 2022. Really, that we've gone to a system-based system that is based all around our ability to just make it look good through hard work and energy. And when hard work and energy's gone, you're screwed. And that turnover game at the start of the year, I always thought it was funny when Voss talked about having an extra training block, because a turnover game is quite easy to do, because we were at the start sat quite high up the ground, forcing you to kick into it, and we were running low mileage. Now it's really high maintenance, and when the heart and desire goes, this is the problem. You saw a team that was willing, because you look at the Hawthorn team that have a lot of the ball, there's not a major difference in ball use and skills. What it is that the options are there that are always uncontested. And Carlton have gone back to now wishing that they had 500 Sam Mitchells and go again. It's a very interesting predicament for the Blues, because they've got to find their identity. And at the moment, this is as close to buying a flat-top Audi at 65 years old and balding than we've ever seen. This is like midlife crisis football. The Blues have got to sharpen up, and they haven't got long to do it. And as we know, time is of the essence. Peace, love and light. Pom out.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella